Hi, my friends. This is Smudge, and I just wanted to quickly cover a few things with you. The most important thing to understand is what the gospel is and what it isn't. And I've tried to make a case of that the gospel is basically faith alone in Christ alone. That's what makes one eternally secure. But there's far more after that, as I pointed out, in the way of eternal rewards that one can acquire by the grace of God. And it's only by His grace, not by my works. It's if I'm sensitive enough and walking with Him that He gives me things that He created beforehand for me to accomplish. Now, I should walk in them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I will walk in them. But let's look at the gospel and how a person becomes a Christian. To look at the whole Bible as a whole, New Testament and Old Testament, one can really get lost. So where is the gospel really presented? Truthfully, it's presented in some of the writings of Paul, and it's presented in the Gospel of John. Now, there are 4 synoptic Gospels, and only the Gospel of John gives the gospel message of how one acquires everlasting life. That is the purpose. Many of these so-called educated theologians in universities that teach and say there are inconsistencies between the gospels and all. No, there really aren't inconsistencies. The apparent inconsistencies only have to do with the purpose of each of those particular gospels. Each one served a particular purpose. Matthew, Mark, and Luke are really written to believers, people who've already trusted in Christ. Only the Gospel of John presents the gospel message. Now, the purpose statement of the book of John is actually written towards the end of the book. And it's written in John chapter 20, verses 30 and 31, where John makes his purpose for writing this particular gospel book. And gospel, by the way, means good news. And it is good news. And let me read from you, from the New King James Version, exactly what John says the purpose is for his writing this particular gospel. And truly Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. So in other words, John is saying, hey, Jesus did many other things than this. I didn't cover it all here. But I'm reciting things to you that are important for you to acquire everlasting life. And so I'm writing to you the signs that he did in the presence of his disciples. But he did others, lots more. But these are written that you might believe, and in believing, acquire the free gift of everlasting life. That's basically what he's saying here. And so, the Gospel of John, if you study it out thoroughly, you'll see over and over and over again the story when it's referring to the unbelieving multitude is believe, believe. have faith, trust in Christ, and you acquire the free gift of everlasting life. Now, Pauline doctrine repeats this message over and over and over again itself, such as Ephesians 2:8 and 9. But that is the purpose statement of this book, the Gospel of John, that you may have everlasting life. And the sole condition mentioned here is believing. There's nothing else. It isn't believing and then shape up your life and live a good life. No. Jesus couldn't make it more simple. And boy, doesn't that free me to be honest. When I know that I'm eternally secure, I can deal with myself when I'm failing and be honest about it. If I don't have that assurance of eternal security, I'm going to lie to myself. Or, if I'm not lying to myself and saying I've got it all together, I'm going to be a failure and say I've blown it. Maybe I'm not saved. And that's exactly what my archenemy, the devil, wants me to do. He wants me to either lie to myself and deceive myself and not look at the sin that needs to be dealt with, even though I'm still eternally secure, because he knows he can't steal my eternal security anymore. But you know what he can steal if I let him? My eternal rewards and my intimacy to whatever degree that may be with Christ in his eternal kingdom. How much I will acquire everlasting life. And also, he wants people who are Christians to give up. Because if they are being honest and they say, hey, I'm not living up to what I'm supposed to be, maybe I'm not really saved, then they'll fall out of the race. But you know what? They're still eternally secure. Because I'm trusting in what Christ did, not in what I do. I'm a flake. Human beings are flakes. We all change. Some days we get up, we feel pretty good. We have a good attitude. Some days you get up out of bed and you got a bad attitude. That's what we're like in these fallen bodies. But Christ was consistent, and he was without sin, and he only put one simple requirement on us for eternal security, and that's believe or trust in him or place one's faith in him. So there you have it, the purpose statement of the Gospel of John, John chapter 20, verses 30 and 31, said right by John himself. No other gospel makes that claim. That's where a Christian or a person looking for truth should start. Read the Gospel of John. Once you've done that, enter into discipleship and grow in character. Grow in Christ-like character. You will not regret it. Okay, this is Smudge signing out for the day. God bless you all.